I'm taking a year off from my studies here at the university. I'll be returning in the fall, and I'll be a senior. So I'm excited to be here with you tonight. I just want to say thanks for coming. First off, we're really happy to have you here. This is the Executive and Entrepreneurial Leadership Forum. So we have some really successful business people, leaders in their fields who are here tonight just to share with you, with all of us really, a little bit about their life experiences, about their careers, the successes and the failures as well, and to share with us a little bit about their faith journeys, what they have learned throughout their time in their fields. So we're going to begin with Mr. Dan Fagan. He's here to share a few words. Dan is the Chief Credit Officer and Executive Vice President of Tradition Capital Bank, located in Edina, Minnesota. Tradition Capital opened in July of 2005 and is a community bank focused on serving small businesses and private banking clients. Dan is primarily responsible for developing and managing the bank's loan portfolio. Previous to his work at Tradition Bank, Dan was Vice President of Commercial Banking at Western Bank. He began his career as a bank examiner with the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, assessing the safety and soundness of financial institutions. An important job. A graduate of Northern Illinois State University, where he was a member of the Sigma Chi House, Dan is married to Susan and has 3 boys, Max, Cole, and Sam. In his leisure time, Dan is active in sports and enjoys activities such as golf, water sports, and snowmobiling. And he also enjoys coaching his boys in baseball and basketball. So please help me welcome Mr. Dan Fagan.
And the goal or the hope is that tonight, one thing will be worthwhile. You'll be able to take it with you and kind of make a little bit of impact in your life. So let me ask you a question. Let me start with a question. Who among you here wants to be a leader? Yeah, I got a couple. More, okay. Well, if I'm getting it right, I think you guys are all leaders here, right? Because that's why we had this dinner. This is for the student leaders. You guys are leaders in your own ways on campus in the various fields that you're in right now. And you're also going to be the future leaders of our country, our towns tomorrow. And so, having you here, we selected you. We didn't just open this up to everybody. We focused on the leaders because you have the biggest impact, have the biggest opportunity to make the biggest impact here and kind of in the light going forward. So if I were to, so one of the things I want to talk about tonight is just on leadership, just some of the thoughts you might have on what makes a good leader, or what do you think are some of the traits or characteristics of a good leader? And anyone could just randomly okay, go for it.
The ability to communicate?
Communication is very key. Very good point. Any other thoughts?
Charisma?
Charisma's good. Hey, you gotta have people follow you, right? A leader needs to lead people, and if nobody's behind you, you're not leading. You're just taking a walk. Any other thoughts? What kind of things? Qualities?
Take risks.
Take risks. Leaders do take risks, and you learn from taking risks. That's for sure. Any other thoughts?
Gotta have passion in what he does.
Passion.
What she does.
Passion. Yep, and I would even put that with a clear vision. Definitely, if you're not aiming for something, you're not going to achieve it. Definitely. Any thoughts on the type of person, some of the qualities of maybe their character or other things that might come to mind that you would like to see in a leader?
Authentic.
Authentic is very good, definitely.
Patience.
Patience. That's tough when you have 3 kids. Then they're all boys. Let me tell you. I'm going to talk on a couple of them that I had down that weren't necessarily mentioned. Integrity, I think, is an important piece of a good leader. Trust. Trust comes in with, a lot of these things interweave, so we're kind of saying a lot of them all together, but these are all things that I think are important. And then I'll talk about a little bit about honesty, humility, and then finally the importance of relationships, of which many of you know. So let me start with integrity. And just, thinking, looking at a lot of the leaders today, some of the problems in our country, unfortunately, I would say were not done potentially by people of integrity. We look at this economic crisis that we're in, and you look at some of the schemes that are going on, the Bernie Madoffs. I don't know if any of you know, or do most of you know who Bernie Madoff is? Okay, he's the guy that had that $50 billion Ponzi scheme, and There were people that I knew in the Twin Cities that were definitely financially impacted by this person. They'd say that's a person not of good integrity. Some of these mortgage bankers, now I'm a banker, I'm not gonna bash my own field per se, but there were people that were basically doing loans to people that were taking advantage of them. And they knew they were, these people didn't qualify, and, a lot of people allowed these to happen, and we're paying as a result of that right now. But I think one of the important things about a person of integrity is that they're always doing the right thing. And they're doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. It's very easy to do something when your boss is watching and people are in front of you, but I think it's very critical that even when nobody's watching, you're doing the right thing. I wanted to share with you an example, kind of a real world example. I like to share stories. I think they're very applicable in cases. And my example is, I came to the University of Iowa, I think this was 2 years ago, probably 2 years ago, and I spoke at an event similar to this, and I happened to say, as I do, and I'll say it to you guys, if you're ever up in Minneapolis, go ahead and give me a call. I'll be happy to introduce you to people or show you around, whatever. If you need help in any direction, give me a call. So I said this like 2 years ago. Well, a year ago, or last, I think this was probably late fall last year, I get a call from this guy, and he says, "Hey Dan, do you remember me? This is Trevor." And I'm like, "Sure, Trevor, nice to meet you." And he goes, "Hey, I'm coming up for a job fair in the Twin Cities, and it's at the Metrodome, and after that there's a Twins game, and I'd like to go to the Twins game, and it's going to be kind of late. Would you mind if I stayed over at your house that night?" And I thought, oh, that's pretty bold, but you know what? I guess I made the offer, so Trevor, sure. So I talked to my wife, and she's like, "Honey, what are you thinking?" I'm like, I think that guy's okay. We'll be fine. But I promised him I would, and I'll keep my word to him. So this guy, Trevor, comes up, and he goes to the Twins game, so I don't see him. And the game goes late, and I'm usually to bed by 10 o'clock. When you have kids, and you get older, and I know that's the time to start going out when you're in college, but you're going to bed by the time you're my age. But I think Marcy's a night person. She might stay up till like 1 or 2, but I'm out at 10 o'clock. So it's like 11 o'clock, and he's saying, "Dan, this game got out, and we're in this traffic." He doesn't end up getting to the house till like 12 o'clock at night. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm literally like just falling asleep, but I want to stay up. Well, then I don't just want to show him this room, so I end up talking to the guy for like an hour. And then I go, "Okay, Trevor, what about you?" He goes, "Hey, do you mind, I have some things I need to study on. I'm probably going to be up for about an hour, and then I won't see you in the morning because I need to get up at 5 o'clock. I have a class at 11, and I don't want to miss it. I need to attend it. I haven't missed classes." And I'm thinking, man, this guy's a college student. He should, if it was me, I would have just came up, I would have crashed, had a good night, I'd sleep in a little bit and go back. This guy's dedicated, he's wanting to study and get up early in the morning. And to me, I'm thinking, this is a pretty dependable guy. Well, we happen to be opening our second branch. And so I actually talked to Trevor the next day, and I said, "Are you ever thinking, what are you thinking of doing?" And he was going the sports route, but he said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, do you enjoy, meeting with people, doing things?" Well, they ended up hiring him at our bank. And the point of this is that this guy didn't realize that I was watching. He didn't realize the impact that he was making. You never know who you're talking to, who the people are. Don't ever judge anyone. Just always, my advice would be just to be yourself and do the right thing, because you never know who's there, and you never know what that can lead to. So, and I think someone of integrity does that, and those are just some important things on that piece. The next piece I'd like to talk about is trust. And part of this, there's a little bit of scripture in the Bible that talks about, this is in Luke, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with a lot. And whoever will be dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with a lot. And I think that speaks volumes in a lot of cases. And I was going to give you just some examples of how people over time, how do you develop trust? You guys are in your various classes and things, and how do you develop trust? Well, I think you develop it, one of the ways is through just being honest with people and being humble and through humility. And I was going to give you one example that I had. When I took a job at a bank, I was asked to, when I was at the FDIC, I transferred from Minnesota, and they paid for my home move, which was great. But I had an opportunity to go to another bank, and this was in November, and I moved in February, so I had to stay for at least 1 year, so next February. Well, I accepted the job,